Pink and Say stirs up a lot of emotion, not only in its readers, but, well, I read the book and it stirs up a lot of emotion in me. Why? Because we still live in a world that we don't necessarily understand. And sometimes our heart tells us one thing, but our brains tell us another thing. The brains said that these two characters, Pink and Say, Pincus and Sheldon, should have nothing to do with each other, even though they fought for the Union Army. Well, the sad thing is, the brains of the operation in the South, they were advocating for the continuation of slavery and states' rights. But the Union, and they also seceded from the Union, but the Union actually tried to keep the Confederacy and tried to bring them back into the Union, even though it would take a long time. And they were kind of cold to the idea of slavery. They have abolished the idea of slavery and the institution of slavery long before, well, the Confederacy were forced to with the Emancipation Proclamation. But it stirs up a lot of emotion because you have two characters that are unlikely friends, companions, that are, I guess, seeking the approval of each other or trying to teach each other who they are. And it's just rich. This book is rich in just rich characters. It was very easy for us to rattle off adjectives to describe these characters because they have a lot of emotion with them. When Sheldon referred to himself as a coward, how many of us would refer to ourselves as cowards for something that we did? Or would we just press on, lift our nose up and chin held high and just, Emperor's New Groove, Emperor's New Clothes, just go on with the flow. The thing is that there's a lot of humility in this book. Pink revealed himself to just be a martyr pretty much, and Momo Bay gave up her life pretty much to maintain the safety of Pink and Say. And so this book stirs up a lot of emotion. So if you're going to read Pink and Say, you need to make sure you get you a box of Kleenexes because you're going to be tore up from the floor up by the time you finish it. Booyah. Pincus. Pink, my main man, the man that gets remembered at the end of the book. And I love how the author Patricia Polacco wants us to say his name because perhaps maybe she doesn't want him to be forgotten in history. I don't either, and I know the kids that read this book today, they don't either. But we described him as being brave, selfless, independent, or careful, also loving, fearless, and heroic. Also, I love that he was so encouraging and courteous to someone he didn't have to. Look, Sheldon, I know that he was deserving, but, Pincus made a decision that he was going to help him. I love it. It's good stuff. Good, rich content, good, rich characters. We actually compared and contrasted Pink and Say as well. They said, this is what my class said, they said that Say was fearful, okay? Then we had fearless over here for Pink. They said that he was Caucasian or white, and then he was African-American, Pink, okay? Say probably never knew what it was like to be a slave, like Momo Bay and Pink did. And then we decided that both fought for the Union. Both were unlucky because of the outcomes that they had. Even though Say grew up to be an old man, he was able to tell the story, but I think when he was shot in the leg, he was kind of unlucky. But Pink met his just unhappy fate. We learn about that at the end of the book. I don't want to be a spoiler here. But both were quite friendly, cordial, I guess you could say. And both were brave as well. Pink and Say. Class, today we're trying to look at Say, or Sheldon, the 15-year-old Union soldier that ended up in Georgia. He was actually injured, and for 2 days he'd been laying in and out of consciousness. But when this character, Pink, actually came to see him, he actually took a look at his wound. And one thing I asked my class today is if, he said that if there's something wrong with his stomach, if he were injured in his stomach, he couldn't do anything to help him. Well, why is that? Well, if you look at medicine, the healthcare system back there in the 1860s, it wasn't up to snuff. And you had a lot of amputations and a lot of injuries that were fatal that probably wouldn't be fatal today. But Say, we described him as being friendly. We created a new word. That's sometimes okay. It's okay. If you understand prefixes, we know means not. Well, he was not homesick. He called himself a coward. We remember that. He was fearful. He fought for the Union Army, so I described him as Union instead of Confederate. Unlucky. Yeah, anyone who gets shot in the leg, yeah, you're pretty unlucky. Brave. Let me tell you something right now. Momo Bay, I love how she's so empathetic. She has the innate ability to put herself in another person's shoes. Now, poor Sheldon, she could have just kicked him to the curb and have nothing to do with him. But here's the thing. She put herself in his shoes and saw the world as he probably saw it. Sheldon was nothing more than 15 when he got shot in the leg in the Civil War. And she referred to him as he's just a baby, he's just a boy. I love her character, and it's quickly becoming a fact that she is identifiable with Pincus, her boy, her son. A lot of the character traits that Pincus exhibited, he showed, he displayed, such as him just being honest, him being fearless instead of fearful. He's brave, courageous, and courteous. And he had just a long arm of the extension of grace. He had an innate ability to just step in someone else's shoes and just love them, regardless of who they were, what they looked like, where they came from, how much money they had. I love these two characters. Brett Dennen, one of my favorite musicians, folk artist, country artist, rock artist, pretty much does anything he wants to. But anyways, he wrote a song called Empathy. I don't know what you have to go through. I don't know what it's like to be you, but empathy's where it's at. That's the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, see the world as other people see it. I guarantee we get a big dose of empathy, we're going a long way on this planet. Walk in someone else's shoes today. See the world as they see it. You're going to have a good day. E is for empathy, and P is for Pink and Say. P is also for Patricia Polacco. Awesome book.